Howdy. Welcome everybody to this video examination of a famous rye whiskey that's been on the market only about 22 years. I think it was the year 2000, but I can't say specifically. But that's around when it hit the market, and it replaced two other old Sazerac brands. One was called Old Superior Rye, and one was called J.A. Doherty's and Sons Rye Whiskey. And I think they still make some other rye whiskeys, but you don't really see them. But this is Sazerac Rye, and I'm in Louisiana, and I'm being joined by John and Nilly in Massachusetts.
There we go. Never was able to get this whiskey before. Didn't sell it anywhere near where I lived in Georgia, and I looked up on their location finder. It was like 300 something miles away was the closest location. So,
and this is a product that you knew about, but now you finally were able to get it.
Right. I've been looking for this whiskey for years and years, so I'm very excited that I finally came across it. And I love the bottle too, the glass embossed bottle with the cork.
Kind of old-fashioned style.
Yeah.
Old school. And you contacted me, said you found it, and you said, let's do an examination. And I said, okay. And it is, well, this is a 750. You can get it in other sizes, but this is the common size. Now, there is an old Sazerac extra aged version, but it's almost impossible to find. So it's really not any use talking about it. But it says Sazerac.com. I'll show the website in a minute. This rye whiskey is the perfect choice to make the Sazerac cocktail, America's first cocktail, they claim. And it's produced in Kentucky and in Louisiana. If you go to Sazerac House in New Orleans on Canal Street, there's a little distillery at the ground floor, and they produce only one product at this time. That could change, which is Sazerac Rye Whiskey. But they only make a small percentage of what's sold around the world. Most of it, the bulk of it is produced at Buffalo Trace in Kentucky. And the man told me, he said, we ship it, what we make here in New Orleans, up to Kentucky to age in barrels. We don't have enough room in this building for barrel aging, but anyway. I don't know what your experience is with this product.
Other than opening the bottle and trying a little bit, really none. So,
and it's 90 proof, and there's no age statement. Some people make guesses on it. You know, they'll say this and that long, but the company never mentioned it. So if the company's not saying, we can't say what it is. You know.
Isn't it at least 4 years though, or is that not?
It has to be at least 4 years if there's no age statement on the bottle.
Right. So
we know it's at least 4 years old, but we don't know how old it is. Talking about well, let's look at the website first, if you'd like. Get that out before we forget. And then we'll talk about the price. So here's the website, Sazerac.com. They talk about the history of the city, talking about coffee houses and saloons. Then they go on to the focus on cocktails, because this is what this mainly is for. It is a sipping whiskey, but the whole purpose of Sazerac House is to show about how to make various cocktails: rum cocktails, tequila cocktails, rye whiskey cocktails, bourbon, and so forth. And then they let you taste them. And the tour is free. There's no charge at all. Aroma, flavor, finish. I'm not going to read that because I don't want to influence what we're saying, but people can reference, because I put a link in the description. Then they give it a list with other foods. With food, but fresh oysters with Sazerac Rye, say no more. bitter cheeses, and then it's part of their Legacy de Forge collection. With I'm not going to go into all that, but they started making cognac, or they bought a cognac house in France, so they're doing cognac. All right, so and then there's also more information about this on buffalotrace.com, and it talks about the extra age Sazerac.
Yeah, that would be a little gem to find that.
Yeah, I think it's 18-year aged.
Wow.
But I don't think it's going to be the price I paid. Now, they have a lot of sales for this in Louisiana. It's like the stores take turns having sales. Last year, it was going for $17.99 on sale. Wow. But with the JB inflation, now it's up to $18.99 on sale. So I paid $17.99. So I don't know what you paid for yours.
I paid $10, but I paid $27.99 for my bottle.
Oh.
I was happy just to get it, so that's not terrible.
A lot of places are seeing it at 50, but that's crazy. Hello, Shane Fudge. Now, you're the one that has not had a lot of experience. I'm going to let you have the main.
All right. Well, it's a nice caramel color. It's got some really, really good alcohol legs going down the glass there, which at 45% alcohol, 90 proof, you would expect that. The aroma with this is really, really nice. It's rich. You get a little bit of the rye spice, like it's got a spice note on the nose. Yeah. Then it's got like caramel, toffee, like just rich. Maybe a little brown sugar in there too. It's got like a sweetness on the nose, like sweet and spicy. It's really pleasant. You take a deep inhalation, you get a little bit of that burn, like in the nostrils from the alcohol. But it's really not bad. Not like an ethanol smell or anything. It's very, very pleasant on the nose. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I'm getting.
No, it doesn't say.
Maybe a little fruit, like a citrus.
Yeah, it's straight rye whiskey, which we know means. You tell everyone what that means.
Well, straight rye. I mean, rye malt versus the corn that you get with a lot. I mean, there's still corn in it, right? It's just mostly.
Well, I'll tell you what. I was setting you up.
It's been a while since I've done the whiskey stuff, so I don't remember all the. There's so many little laws and little details with the whiskeys.
That was a cheap trap. But I'll tell you what. It's and I'll go to my face and then I'll go back to you. Okay, so straight rye. It could be 100% rye. That's allowed, of course. But it ain't going to be $17.99. But straight, well, it could be because maybe it's cheap rye that was rancid and they got rid of it. But anyway, so it has to be at least 51% rye. The other 49% doesn't matter. Okay, could be any kind of grains, but it has to be at least 51% rye. Secondly, it has to be aged in new charred oak barrels. Can't be used barrels. And thirdly, it has to be aged for at least 2 years. So that's your 3 rules. 51% new barrels, four rules. 51% new barrels, charred barrels, and 2 years. But we know this one is at least 4 years because there's no age statement. So then we know it's double the required regulation. And like Jim Beam used to say, we age our whiskey 2 years longer than the required agings. But they made it sound like it was like really long. But the requirement is so minimal, only 2 years. But Jim Beam is age 4. And like the girl used to say, James P. Madonna says she looked like she was drunk on the commercials. The girl from that 70s show, she'd say, 4 long years. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Man. So the aroma with this is really nice. I don't think I mentioned it yet. Vanilla as well coming through. So vanilla, brown sugar, caramel, toffee, definite. Like a little bit of a citrus in there. Of course, you're getting the wood, the charred oak is coming through. It smells amazing. I'm dying to get into this, so I'm gonna take a sip here. Cheers.
You ever had Herb Saint, this Sazerac liqueur that he's talking about, that mint? I never had it either, but I can get it. Okay.
Really nice on the palate too. I'm getting a little bit of like a menthol effect with this too,
Yeah.
to mentholation. The rich caramels coming through, vanilla, the charred oak, the wood itself is coming through. A little bit of a rye spice notes coming through, which is nice. It's not as rye forward as I thought it would be. You know, you see the Sazerac straight rye whiskey, and I'm thinking like old granddad, the high rye mash bill stuff that I had. I mean, this has been years since I've had it, but I remember that having such a rye spice note. And this one, it's there, but it's not as prominent as like some of the old granddad stuff that I've had in years past. It's very smooth for a rye whiskey, and it's balanced. It's sweet. It's spicy. It's got a little bit of the burn.
You said old granddad rye, or do you mean old Overholt?
No, the old granddad, I believe it was the bottled and bond, and it was the high rye mash bill. It's not a rye whiskey, but it was the high rye mash bill one.
A bourbon with a high rye mash.
It's a bourbon with the high rye mash bill. Yeah, I just remember that one having just a significant spiciness to it that I'm not getting as much with this, which is a little surprising, I guess is what I'm saying. But it's very, I mean, it's definitely there. It's just not as in your face as I thought it would be, being that it's a straight rye whiskey, at least 51%. So I was expecting more of it, but it's nice. It's balanced. It's a little heat on the back end, but it drinks more like a standard 80 proof than a 90 proof. It's really good. I'm enjoying it.
The first bottle I got was from a lady that I go to dinner with sometimes, and whatnot. She had an unopened bottle, and I said, "Oh yeah." I was at her house in New Orleans, and I said, "I've heard of this stuff." And she said, "You can have it. I'm never going to drink it," because she gave up liquor when she got in an accident. She said she just never wanted to drink it again. She didn't know why. It wasn't an accident caused by liquor, but it was just. I said, "Well, you know me. I'm like you. I'm not going to turn down a free bottle of unopened whiskey."
Right.
I don't care what brand it is, but I thought this would be a good gift. So, and then I started researching it, and I said, "Oh man, it was like a really good gift." But and then she also gave me a slightly drunk, like 5% consumed bottle of Blanton barrel.
Yeah.
Which was
we reviewed that when I came down to visit. I've had a bottle before, but you, David, and I did a review of that, and I think we were all pretty impressed with the Blantons. That's good stuff.
Yeah, that runs about $60.
Right.
So anyway, I agree with what you're saying about menthol, like a menthol cigarette, or mints, like if you look those Andes mints. But then I'm not really getting any chocolate, but I'm getting the mint part of it. So you do get the sweet other grains underneath. You get the rye over the top. I find it's very balanced and mellow, and like you say, it tastes more like an 80 than a 90.
Right. Yeah. Very smooth, easy drinking, and it's kind of opening it up a little bit. The more it's, since I poured it in the glass, there's more coming through on the aroma. A little bit more caramel, a little bit more rye now too, as it kind of opens up a little bit.
Yeah. Now the main thing the company focuses on is recommending this to be mixed in a cocktail called a Sazerac, of course.
Which is similar to an old fashioned, I believe, right? Just like the orange.
Don't ask me. I don't know anything about cocktails.
Okay. I'm pretty sure that a Sazerac is just like an old fashioned made with the rye whiskey versus your standard bourbon, which is what an old fashioned is typically made with. So a little bit more of a spice kick for your old fashioned type of deal.
Let me see if they show the recipe on the website. Smooth, medium finish. It's like, to me, it's very, there's even like a little tobacco and coffee note, but it's very mild and mellow and enjoyable. Now, the website, their tasting notes are saying aroma of clove, sweet vanilla, anise, and pepper. I never pick up all those things these companies talk about.
Right.
The flavor, they're saying subtle notes of candies. I go along with the candies because I already said that. Sugar, sweetness, spice, and crisp citrus. See, I'm not, and the finish.
I did get a little citrus on the aroma I mentioned, but I'm not getting that so much on the. It doesn't really translate for me to the palate.
And they said the finish is a big finish, is smooth with hints of licorice. So, you know, but I don't criticize the companies and claim that they're lying because they know more about whiskey than I do. So they're probably right, and I just can't. I don't have the ability to, you know,
right.
understand.
My palate is not refined enough to pick up on some of the little subtle nuance, like the anise, the licorice, vanilla, little citrus, the rye spice, caramel toffee, maybe a little brown sugar with that mentholating effect as you drink it. That's about all I'm getting. It's nice, it's pleasant, but it's not one of those things where I can pick out 100 different flavors, you know?
Oh, let me show you real fast on the screen share. I can never pick out 100 different flavors, to tell you the truth. Here's the Sazerac Rye. They are showing it. I didn't go down enough. Sazerac Rye 18-year-old. Yeah, I never see this on sale. I never see this. And I can promise you it ain't going to be no $18.99, maybe $118.99.
Right, yeah.
And then they go on to all the exquisite flavors of it. And then there's one above that, Thomas H. Handy Sazerac. This uncut and unfiltered straight rye whiskey is bottled directly from the barrel, just as it was a century ago. Made at Buffalo Trace. It won Whiskey of the Year, World Whiskey of the Year. Well, you know, that's going to be... Right. It's going to be like a lot of these other products, like the Jose Cuervo 30-year-old, you know, those things are $400 or $500 a bottle, and you can't find them. So, oh, here's the cocktail. Now you can I don't know if you can see this.
Yes. So that's almost exactly that's an old fashioned basically, but it's made with the Sazerac. So, you use, for a traditional old fashioned, you use simple syrup. So you got the cube sugar, you use bourbon, herb saint, which is like a liqueur. So yeah, the only difference is you wouldn't put the herb saint in there, but the bitters, the lemon, the whiskey, and the sugar with the lemon pill, that's what constitutes a traditional old fashioned. You may even garnish it with a cherry in there as well. But that's kind of at your discretion. It's not a requirement to meet the old-fashioned criteria. So it's very similar. Yeah.
Since they own Herb Saint liquor, naturally they're going to suggest
they're going to put it in there, right? I wonder if Herb Saint, if it has a cherry flavor to it, because cherry sometimes is added to an old-fashioned. So that's interesting. Have to.
It's been on the market a long, long time, and it's sort of like one of those hoity-toity.
Aren't they all?
Hoity-toity liqueurs. It's not like Margaritaville strawberry or
right.
You know, it's like it's a little higher grade.
Right. Okay.
Right. I'm gonna see if I can find Herb Saint. What happened with Herb Saint was they used to have a product that they sold in the United States called absinthe.
Yeah.
But the U.S. government sort of like outlawed it.
It's still legal in certain areas, like New Orleans. You can buy it. When I lived
I've never seen it sold anywhere ever.
They have the Absinthe House in New Orleans when I went back in 2013.
Yeah, but they sell mimic absinthe, not the actual stuff made with wormwood, though.
They still so in Georgia they had the I can't remember the brand, but it says on the label it includes or made with the wormwood root or whatever, and it may cause.
I know that law was repealed, so now they are starting to do it. It could, but there could be state law problems.
Maybe. Well, I can't say for with 100% certainty though. Within the last year, I bought a bottle of absinthe back in Georgia, and it said, clear as day on the label, contains wormwood. So,
oh, okay.
It had I can't remember the brand, but it had Edgar Allan Poe's face on it with the little cloth over his ear.
Oh, wait, no, you're talking about Vincent Van Gogh.
Vincent Van Gogh. I'm sorry, not Edgar Allan Poe. Jesus.
Not drank a little bit. He drank a little bit too much absinthe, and then the girl didn't want to go out with him, so he cut his ear off.
And he to show his love, he cut off his ear and put it in a box and gave it. If that's not romantic, I don't know what is.
Insane, maybe. Here's Herb Saint, and it's absinthe mixed with the letters mixed up. It says, J. Marion Legendre learned about pastis and absinthe. Upon his return to the United States after Prohibition, and this apothecary turned entrepreneur introduces Legendre absinthe to New Orleans. The spirit was later renamed Legendre Herb Saint, and the tagline was, drink Herb Saint whenever absinthe is called for.
Okay.
Still made with his 1930s recipe, and the liqueur's unique anise flavor is a key ingredient in our official Sazerac cocktail recipe. So that's it. I know where to buy it, but I can't say a lot of people buy it. You know what I'm saying? Like if you go to bar rooms in New Orleans, they have it, but I can't say a whole lot of people are leaving grocery stores buying Herb Saint. But I could be wrong.
Right. So here is just to show you. This is the absinthe that I bought down in Georgia.
Okay.
It's got the Vincent Van Gogh image on there. It's 110 proof and $60 a bottle.
Wow.
And it does say distilled in the French Alps from wormwood, anise, and seven other herbs following the ancient absinthe recipe. So,
okay. So if you go crazy, we'll know what happened.
I don't think I'll be drinking some more of that anytime soon.
It's very minty, huh?
Very minty, very easy drinking for as strong as it is, and get you in a lot of trouble.
What's the proof?
110. For that particular one, they make them stronger than that, but that one was 110.
I can't handle that kind of stuff. Well, anyway, we do liqueurs on Fandango Friday. I guess if I found a little sample mini bottle of that kind of stuff, I'd try, but I never have seen that in a 50 milliliter,
Right.
So what do you think about this product? I mean, how would you grade it?
It's been a while since I've done a whiskey or spirit review. But it's definitely excellent for what it is. It's hard to put a specific number to it, but I guess I just go right down the middle. I just say it's a solid A and say a 95. I think that's fair. It has some complexity to it. It's not as hot as I thought it would be, being that it's 90 proof. The mentholation type effect is nice, and you get just enough of the rye spice with the other flavors in the product to make it really interesting. And I can see why this is used as an alternative to some of the bourbons. And you can call it a Sazerac, you can call it just a Sazerac old fashioned, basically. But yeah, however, I could see how this would be really enjoyable in some cocktails too. Give it a little extra dimension that maybe that your standard bourbon wouldn't add, unless you're drinking something like maybe, I don't know, the Elijah Craig 12-year. No longer. This was from Whiskey Scout. I wanted to show this.
That's a gift there.
Yeah. But definitely better, more complex and interesting than something like this, although this is a good product. But
yeah.
Irish whiskey just doesn't stack up, in my opinion, to the ryes and the bourbons of the world in terms of flavor.
Well, it's a different type of product.
Different type of product, though. It's supposed to be more mellow and mixable, I guess, Which, by the way, if you want to do an examination of this too, you let me know. I know you've got some.
Yes, I have a bottle of it, and it's always ready to be examined. And I just finished my Irish whiskey taste challenges.
I saw the one you did, I believe it was yesterday, with the Jamesons.
And
I never heard of the other Irish whiskey that you were matching it up against. But you said it wasn't worth the extra $12 a bottle for the Jameson.
So. No. I would just buy the Drumcastle.
The Drumcastle, right?
I've
never seen Drumcastle though, so I don't know if that's.
If you there's a whole chain of stores that sell it, and they're all around the country. So they pretty much just sell it to those stores. But it might be even a private label to those stores. I know it's made by Sazerac, but Sazerac doesn't own an Irish distillery. Sazerac's products are made at Middleton, which makes Jameson. So it's like a contract where Jameson makes whiskey for their competition. It's kind of weird, but you probably have had Patty's. That
years and years and years ago. Yeah, when I was living in Alabama, they had it at the bar that I worked at, and I tried it. But
that's another brand that Sazerac got a hold of, and it's made at Jameson's distillery in Cork. Jameson, it did okay in the taste challenges, but really it didn't do that well. But it didn't, it was not terrible, but it didn't really hold up against Bushmills, the Bushmills line, or even Drumcastle, and it did kind of so against some of the others. So but I can understand that because Jameson is like a mass appeal product, so it can't be too edgy or it's going to lose its base, and its base is so big they don't really care if the whiskey.
Right. Well, but they have more expensive, more refined expressions of Jameson.
Definitely.
Like the Black Barrel, which I have a small bottle of. I'm looking forward to trying that. That's supposed to be a lot bolder and have more flavor. And then of course I was a big fan of the Caskmates. The Stout Edition Caskmates was wow, so really
so
good.
They have a smart approach. They put out their mass production regular product, and then they got all the varieties for the more adventurous people.
Absolutely. And you know better than anyone, like with the Johnny Walker, they have their Johnny Walker Red, but then they also have the Blue Label, the Green, the Platinum. They have $400 or $500 bottles that if you want to spend the money and get something really amazing, you can, but their standard Red Label is what, $18 a bottle?
$18 to $22. Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, I agree with your score, and I'm going to go along with it also, 95. I didn't put a banner, but we don't need a banner because we're only examining one thing,
Right.
But we're both saying 95A, a most excellent product. Yeah, it would be cool to get together again and do the Jameson. And
I would love to. Yeah, things have been kind of crazy a little bit later on in the evening, with work related calls and stuff that I've been dealing with during the week. And Wednesdays, which are probably the biggest night on the YouTube live streams for beer and alcohol streams, I've pretty much gotten to the point where Wednesday nights are 9 times out of 10 going to be impossible for me to join. So
yeah,
my best bet would probably be like a Friday, like one of your Fandango Fridays or something like that.
Yeah.
But I know we're going on half an hour here and you've got baseball to get to, but I wanted to show you one of the things that I was able to get and I was pretty excited about, that I couldn't get down in Georgia, but you've reviewed a lot of these products and it's kind of, it made me interested and want to try them. And I think these are like $1.75 for a can. They were on the door and on the cooler door, and they were marked down. But these right here, the Monaco.
Oh yeah, I'm very familiar with those. They're all
never been able to get them because it's actually made with liquor, and it's not a malt beverage. So down in Georgia at gas stations and convenience stores, you couldn't get this because it's not a malt beverage. So anyway, it's I got the Citrus Rush and then the Watermelon Crush, 9% alcohol by volume each, and it says on the label contains vodka, and it says 2 shots in every can. So
yeah, those are nice. Those are really nice. Those are the best. People ask me what is the best
That's
can.
why I bought them, because you've always given them such high marks and said that they were really good for what you're getting. And it's a cocktail, an actual cocktail in a can, and not a mocktail or a malt beverage.
Yeah, I
Wannabe
always said
cocktail.
that. Right, not a wannabe. I always said the best premix was those Monacos, and the best of the Monacos is the cognac, the purple can made with
Okay.
made with cognac.
I'll have to keep an eye out for those.
Hard
But
to
yeah,
find.
there were a bunch of different ones. So I just bought 2 just to try a couple, but I'll be back trying a few more, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
they're all good. They're all good. And anyway, well, I also have the Crown Royal Northern Harvest Rye. That's another great rye whiskey, 90 proof. That's an awesome one. If anybody ever wants to review that, a Canadian guy said he wants to, but I don't know if he'll ever get around to
It's the
doing it.
Crown Royal. It's called Harvest Rye. Is that what you said?
Crown Royal Northern Harvest Rye.
Northern Harvest Rye. Okay, I have to look, see if I can get that one up here.
Yeah, it's 90% rye, so it's got a lot of minty character in it. It's 90 proof. It's really interesting product. Let me tell you, it's a definitely one to buy for sure.
Okay, yeah, I would definitely buy it if I saw it.
Yeah, I got it rather easily. But anyway, but there's so many things we could examine. You know that it's just like endless.
Lady C, I don't know what's wrong with my face. This is how it always looks. So I'm sorry if it's offensive to you.
I didn't post that comment.
It's fine.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching this exciting ski examination. And y'all.
Yes, thanks for having me. It's always enjoyable doing these things with you, and hopefully we could do a few more soon. The Jameson is interesting to me. I've got, well, of course, Elijah Craig, but this is the 12-year aged one. I've had the regular 8-year small batch that I also thought was really good, but I'll look for some Crown stuff and trying to get back into some of these, particularly whiskeys. Whiskey is my cup of tea when it comes to spirits, particularly bourbon. But anything really. I like Irish whiskey. I like Scotch. I like the ryes. You know, the bottled and bond stuff. All of that.
Yep. The bottle. Don't even pay any mind to that. The bottle and bond. The bottle and bond is good, but 100 proof gets to be about the top end of what I can tolerate. You know.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, you take care now. Y'all take care. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Absolutely.